The Inclusive Career Advancement Program, or ICAP, has changed lives, including Earl Bowers's. His first experience with formal education in his entire life was when he walked onto the campus of Lane Community College.
I'm a person with lived experience. That means I've experienced chronic incarceration. English is my second language. So I learned how to speak English long before I learned how to read and write it. I taught myself how to read and write in solitary confinement. Got out of solitary confinement and pursued a GED, which basically looked like go find some books on the bookshelf and let us know when you're ready to take the test. So self-taught all the way up until, and then, more historically, I'm the first person in my entire family lineage to go past a GED, and most of us never even accomplished that. So over 30 years of self-medicating mental illness and not getting the right treatments and all of the chronic stuff that comes along with that, going to school is never, society told me it wasn't for me. The culture told me it wasn't for me. Family history plays a big impact on how you see the world, the lens you view it from. So walking on that campus the first time was, I did not have the skills to be successful yet.
Earl, who is White Mountain Apache, received support from ICAP, Vocational Rehabilitation, Lane Community College, and now work colleagues at South Lane Mental Health, where he is a certified recovery mentor. Jeremy Wharton with South Lane.
He brings so much to the table because not only does he have this lived experience of his own life challenges and kind of learning, who he doesn't want to be, right, and how he doesn't want to be in life, to making a decision to kind of find out who he can be.
Earl almost didn't connect with ICAP and VR.
To be honest with you, I've been through voc rehab before, and I was not successful, right? I went there and I didn't have the answers that I needed to do all the paperwork. I didn't have ID. I didn't have any of these things, And so there was a lot of barriers. So I almost didn't take the referral. Like the emails were coming in, ICAP emails, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just too busy. But finally I just said, okay, I'm going to go see what this is about.
Earl's VR counselor, Brandy Teal.
When I first met Earl, one of the things that he said was that he was committed to working in the recovery field and reentry field, and that he wanted to go wherever he was needed. Whenever he would come to me, our conversations were focused on, what he's doing, people that he's meeting. He was able to help create a nonprofit in town called Four Directions, which is amazing.
Lane Community College Education Coordinator Erin McGladry helped to get Earl the internship that led to creating the Four Directions program to support Indigenous people in their recovery journeys.
Earl is so honest about the things that work and haven't worked for him. So Earl came in with a really clear focus of where he wanted to serve. His heart's really with the Native community around substance use. He has a passion for reentry work and building stronger families and lives.
Erin heard about this peer support agency that was relatively new at the time. That they were looking for somebody to come help them create an Indigenous program. And so she got me in there.
Tanya Milden is Earl's ICAP coach.
He not only sets an example for his family, but for his community. And it's been great to watch him grow and succeed.
As a helper, I want to be as efficient as I can and give as much help as I can. Mm-hmm. And so those experiences help me do that, Yeah. And I can call Brandy anytime I need to and be like, hey, I got a client, which is a really interesting turn of events. Now we're community partners.
Yeah. That's funny.
Right? I routinely have to look around me and go, wow. Like 3.5 years ago, I was released from prison with a toothbrush and a photo album. Right? And now, we're not, I pay all my bills and I'm broke, like everybody else. But my bills are paid. And I don't have housing insecurity, and I don't have food insecurity. And One of my adult children is going to college right now. The 18-year-old daughter is planning on it. The 15-year-old is definitely going to college. None of those things were attainable until Mom and I stepped forward and showed them that it was possible. That's the new narrative for the family.
I work for Portland Community College as an IST. I'm basically a specialist that knows how to change wire on a machine, knows how to change like the argon bottles on the machine.
That's Ryan Holly. ICAP and VR supported him as he went back to school at Portland Community College for welding, and he is now employed there. Aaron Gardner is Ryan's supervisor.
I worked with him a little bit when he was about 13 years ago. But yeah, where I really saw him grow was the last couple years when he came in again and did more retraining, I think, because of working with Zach, to where he's gained a lot of confidence, not only with the welding he did, but then also, I think, like working on fabrication projects.
Zach Raschke is Ryan's VR counselor.
We joke a lot. I think a lot of our conversations, especially initially, were relationship building. I don't think Ryan would be mad at me for saying that he's somebody that needs to warm up to people. So a lot of our conversations early on were literally just getting to know each other and kind of breaking through some of those barriers that were part of the reasons why he came to VR in the first place.
Ryan's ICAP coach Marissa and Zach worked closely together to help Ryan and other students navigate the education process as well as support them emotionally when things got stressful.
It was great having that extra help. As far as like, I'm not a computer guy. I'm not an email guy. It's like, give me a grinder and tell me to go out and cut some material and do all this hard labor stuff, and that's easy as hell. But dealing with computer stuff and dealing with all that kind of stuff, she was a really great help with that, along with Zach as well.
ICAP has been a big part, but of course, even outside of ICAP, engagement with the different accommodation services, the different career development services, talking to instructors that give us their time, and the counseling departments. We've built, I can speak to at least PCC here recently, I think over the last several years we've built a great deal of more communication, which is then allowing us to support those students with disabilities and not only employment barriers, but probably education barriers as well, in making sure that they have the things that they need in place to be successful, to work toward employment goals that without that educational access, they wouldn't be able to achieve.
ICAP was created to help people with disabilities access training and secure employment in high-demand fields. Each ICAP participant worked with a VR counselor and ICAP career coach at their local community colleges. Sabrina Cunliffe headed up the ICAP program.
Before ICAP, data indicated that only about 2% of VRCs regularly used post-secondary education as a service for most of the people that we served. And with ICAP, that number has grown significantly over time.
ICAP offers personalized support tailored to each participant's interests, strengths, and employment goals.
The impact that we see internally for VR is a shift in how vocational rehabilitation counselors think about post-secondary ed and think about what's actually possible for people with disabilities to achieve, right? We've seen people that started out with maybe a 1 or 2 term certificate, and then they've parlayed that through stackable credentials, and now some of them are finishing their bachelor's degrees. Some of them are going on to get their master's degrees.
One of those students who started off pursuing one credential and then continued his education is Irving Daniel, who lives in Bend.
Initially, I wanted to do just a peer support certificate and get into the workforce. That was my plan. And I talked to Darla about this, and I said, this is something that I might want to do with my own recovery story, being sober from alcohol. I thought this would be a good job for me just to help someone else get through this. And so I went to school and I took a public health professions class. I took a peer support class. Those were the only 2 classes I was planning on taking. And once I learned about the peer support, I loved it. I was like, I do want to do something like this, but this is not the end for me. I think I want to keep going further. and I learned more about public health, and then just my own story brought me to like realize like this is what I want to do.
Darla Kennedy is Irving's VR counselor.
ICAP has helped connect Irving with other resources that have helped financially, navigating career opportunities and education opportunities to get to those career opportunities, and just providing a wraparound service to provide more support.
Misa Olson, a VR workforce and business coordinator, actually met Irving at school when she was taking a continuing education class. Later, she helped support Irving in her professional role.
I've seen him grow as a person. You know, he was already very responsible and engaged, and as I've come to know him, I've found that as his work with VR progressed, I saw him advocating for himself more and being more comfortable in that role. He is the ideal that we, you know, those of us who work at WorkSource really want to see, because he started with getting connected with our local community college in a GED program that was based out of the local Bend WorkSource. Through working through that WorkSource, he came in contact with a variety of WorkSource partners. We were able to braid services with those partners.
Irving's success in school has opened up the door to full-time employment.
So I started the position with on-call, and all my clients were having mental health crisis. A lot of them were stabilized, some of them weren't. I worked in 3 different locations here in Bend. We have a higher acuity facility, and then we have some lower level of care houses. So I worked at all 3 because I was on call. I was available for all 3, and I was able to just deal with everything. My bosses, they saw that I was great with the clients, and I used the skills that I learned in school, so my peer support skills that I learned there, and then just my own personal experience from dealing with my own life. I used all that, and they saw that, and they offered me a position full-time at one of the houses, and I accepted. So within a few months, they were already wanting me to work there full-time, and I said, yeah. And then I would work on getting a different position, towards getting a different position. Currently, recently I received a new credential, which is a qualified mental health associate, and that's what I'm doing now. It's more just case management, still work with the clients one-on-one.
South in Grants Pass, Brenda Miller has been making incredible progress with getting her life back on track with the support of ICAP and VR. She used to have a dog grooming business.
It was very successful, if I might say so myself. It was, you know, I made good money. I had great rapport with my clients. It lasted for years. And then, unfortunately, February 25th, 2020, my husband, after 32 years of marriage, took his life.
That trauma changed everything for Brenda and her children. It took more than 2 years to get widow's benefits from Social Security, and then
something came in the mail from Social Security, and it said, ticket to something.
Ticket to work.
Ticket to work. And it was like, well, I have found out that I'm a very strong woman. And for my kids, I want to get better. But I needed to do something because I knew that I couldn't go back to grooming. And so I called. And I talked to this lady, and she kind of was one of those ones that, we can't help you here, which I got a lot. We can't help you here. We can't help you here. But she gave me this number to these are happy tears. She gave me this number to vocational rehab in Grants Pass. So I called, and they said, come in, and I met Angela.
Angela Putnam is Brenda's VR counselor.
When Brenda sat down in my office the first time I met her, she had no hope. She had been had experienced some pretty traumatic things, and she let me know that she wasn't going to be able to go back to the job that she was doing, and wanted to get her GED so that she could try to find a job that she would be able to do. She had attempted the GED in the past, and it was really scary for her, and she wasn't quite sure if that's really what she wanted to do. And so I just said, hey, let's just take some baby steps. Let's see what we can do.
They took those steps. Brenda got her GED and is now pursuing a human services degree at Rowe Community College. She credits God, as well as the support that she has received from Angela and her ICAP career coach, Alexander, with her success.
I've really seen a lot of growth in her self-advocacy. So like the first meeting that I attended with her, I was doing a lot of the talking, I was doing a lot of the question asking, and now we recently had to go and talk to advising because she wanted to change and move her own goalpost again because now she's pursuing her associate's degree. And so we needed to go talk to advising, and that was the first time I kind of got to sit back, and she was in the driver's seat for most of that meeting, and that was really, I don't know, that was really cool to see her growth.
The ICAP coach has just been able to provide so much added support for our students and for me as a VR counselor. I don't have the time to spend all the time on campus. I don't have the luxury of doing that. Maybe I will in the future, I don't know. But that has been such a help for me to have that coach on site and being able to communicate. If something comes up, if the student is on campus and needs something, they'll go to the coach, and then we all communicate what we can do to support that student.
And finally, meet Joshua Russoff, whose life has been transformed over the past few years working with ICAP and VR staff. He shares his initial mindset.
If you feel like you're going to fail, you will justify it by, why bother trying? If I'm going to get kicked out, if I'm going to get dropped, or if I'm going to have some obstacle in the way, again, why bother trying for the 100th time? Why not just give up and become a NEET? That's a phrase. It means no education, employment, or training. And that was, yeah, very much, but like, well, part of me was thinking like, oh yes, I should just become a NEET or hikikomori, just shut myself in. And that part of me was like, no, I want more for my life than that. I want to be able to not just survive or exist. I want to be able to thrive and experience life and do whatever I'm called to by God in the world and be able to have an impact.
Grants Pass VR staff Teddy Walston, Angela Putnam, and his ICAP career coach Ron came aside Josh to support him as he successfully went back to college and prepared for the workforce. Some of that assistance was through training and interview prep, and some was just being there to listen and accept Josh for who he is.
As much belief as he had in himself, he couldn't escape his anxiety. He perseverated quite a bit on things. I believe he had an uncontrollable thirst for perfection, and that probably led to him being an amazing worker. But when you don't have the support around you and you have that hunger for perfection and the limitations, it's a recipe for like a bit of chaos, right? And what we were able to do is slowly chip away at that by putting the right supports around him at every phase, right? And combine that with his belief and tenacity, we were able to make some things happen.
I didn't have to mask. I didn't have to go, oh yes, I am a normal human. I am not an artist. I am a normal human, made for society and being able to do things that normal people do in the normal world. I could just be my oddball self, and that was really good and really helpful. One of the big things that Ron did through ICAP was encouraging me to self-advocate. That was one of the things that I struggled with before, but Ron and ICAP as a whole were really good at getting me to self-advocate and be able to be my own voice.
Josh's VR counselor, Angela Putnam.
Josh, when he graduated, he had already had interviews lined up. He had multiple interviews. He got a job that was going to take him from Grants Pass to Medford. The job was in Medford, and Josh was not very confident about driving, and that was a big fear. And so Teddy and I got together and we're like, what are we going to do? How can we help him with this job? And so we figured out that he had a job coach, and we had the job coach drive him to and from Medford, or from Grants Pass to Medford to work, and then back home at the end of the day, in order to alleviate that added stress with a new job. And so Josh was doing really well at that job. He had a lot of high anxiety. We were calling him. I called him every morning before he went to work, about 7 o'clock before he headed out, just to say, hey, how are you doing? You can do this. And then his job coach would drive him, and then the job coach would leave him. He did not want a job coach on the job, which is totally understandable. And so the job coach would connect with him on his breaks, lunch, his afternoon break, and then obviously on the drive home. So he was having connections with supports throughout the day. Then Josh got a call that he had a call back for one of those other interviews, which was actually closer to home and making more money. And he's like, what do I do? And so we kind of walked him through that with his family and his team. He did decide to take that other job that was closer to home.
Monica Rusoff is Josh's mom.
They completely came alongside us as a family and Josh to help support him. And it literally, you guys are going to make me cry, it literally has been life-changing, because I didn't know as a mom where he could get to in life. I knew that he had the intellect to do it, but his anxiety kept him from doing so many things. His own mental health and the negative spiral that he would get in kept him from doing the things that I knew he was capable of doing. And all of these people helped support him in a way that he needed.
Josh now works at Asante Health as an information technology specialist and loves it.
And now I'm actually having my own duplex where I'm managing my own bills, managing my own rent, and to work, able to pay it all. I'm at the point where I even have a retirement fund going, a 403B through work that has a match, and I'm able to get that and keep that going now. And that's something I didn't know if I'd ever have, and now I do.
And it's not just about achieving. He did a good job for someone with disability. For someone with a disability, no, he kicked ass on every level by every metric, and he's still doing it, right? So I think that is the phenomenal thing about Josh and his journey. I'm so excited to have been a small piece of it.